Today in our crossover to Germany with our partners DW, we focus on two things happening there. The launch of Germany's coronavirus contact tracing app and the biggest racial justice protest outside of the United States after the death of George Floyd. William Grocroft is correspondent with our partners DW. He's joining me all the way from Berlin, so we talk about these. William, it's good to have you. Now tell us how this coronavirus contact tracing app is supposed to work.
Well, I can tell you, I can also show you, because I have it right here. I downloaded it yesterday when it became first live, available to everyone in Germany. Now, the app says I'm currently at a low risk of exposure. That assessment updates once a day. And basically how it works is it uses Bluetooth technology to communicate with other smartphones that are around you. So if I have the app and if you have the app and if we were together, our phones would exchange information to know that the other one was close to the other one. And then if one of us was then tested positive for the virus, we can voluntarily put that information into the app, and then that informs every other phone that's been in contact with me if I'm the positive person. Now, it's important to note that this is all anonymous. You would never know who the person is. You wouldn't know where it happened, when it happened. You just know that it happened, and that's what government officials are really hoping will be very effective in stopping the spread of the coronavirus. What
it means is that everybody will have to download this app. Is it mandatory for everybody to download that app?
No, it's not. It's completely voluntary. There's no way that the government can or wants to force people to download the app, but they do very strongly recommend it. Of course, it's not compatible with everyone. It's Android and iPhone devices. They have to be the newer versions of those devices. They have to be updated to the newest versions of their iOS. You, of course, have to have your country location for your app store to be in Germany. Otherwise, you can't get it. I actually even had some trouble finding it. I had to go to a news article to click a link that brought me to the App Store because I couldn't find it myself in the App Store. So it's completely voluntary, and officials have so far been touting that several million, about 6.5 million people have downloaded it in just the first day. It's quite a strong start, but of course a country of 80 million people, 57 million smartphones, that's really just a drop in the bucket to be able to have the kind of effective coverage and the breaking of infection chains that the health officials here want to see.
I know this app is not entirely different. We can talk about some of these or something similar that has been created in Asia. Here in Ghana, we've had our own, which was launched back then. But what took Germany, of all countries, so long to get this app out?
The big reason is privacy. That was a major concern, a major point of debate here in Germany through the months of April and May when this app was promised to be coming. And the German government worked with Deutsche Telekom and SAP, the major technology company here, because the goal was how to make, and the challenge was how to make an app that is effective, that provides the information to people that they need in a timely way without sacrificing privacy, without sacrificing anonymity. This is a very important and sensitive issue for Germans with their history of being a surveillance state and dictatorship. They don't want the German government, and also they don't want large companies knowing what people are up to, where they are, tracking them in any kind of way. So they had to find that balance to make the information useful but still anonymous, to make sure that the information is stored on the local phones and not in some kind of central server where it could be accessed by third parties. So there were a lot of layers and a lot of different actors involved, both in the government and out of the government, to consult with to make sure this app met both the health standards and the security and data privacy standards that Germans demand.
You've already touched a bit on how authorities hope that this will effectively deal with the problem. But let me link that quickly to racial justice. And because you've talked about that, I want to move on to racial justice protests, which is something very big at the moment. It's happening across the world. But what is happening in Germany has been described as the biggest protest outside of the United States of America. But you're also looking at this happening in a pandemic. Give us more on that developments there.
Yes, and government officials tell you all the more reason that everyone needs to download this app we're talking about, because we are seeing every weekend for the last several weeks huge protests, huge gatherings of people, not only in Berlin, but in multiple cities, dozens of cities all around Germany, protesting for racial justice, for racial equality, for the end to discrimination. And it's not only about George Floyd and what's happening in the United States. It's about what's happening here in Germany, problems with policing, problems in politics, in bureaucracy, people who feel discriminated against and are discriminated against just because of the color of their skin, because of their ethnic background, their country origin. Just last week, the 2019 anti-discrimination report was released by the German government, and it showed a marked increase in cases of discrimination against people, especially in the job market, when looking for apartments, these kinds of things. And the biggest reason for this discrimination was skin color, was ethnic background, country of origin, these kinds of things. And that has become, because of what's happened to George Floyd and what happening in the United States, that has boiled over here in Germany. And people are looking at Germany right now. People here are looking at themselves and saying, what can we do better? How can we be a fairer or more democratic system? And that is what these protests are about. Tens of thousands every weekend, and more are planned.
Wow. And I hope really that all these people download the app, so at least they know that in the crowd there's someone somewhere who has coronavirus. That is the goal, exactly. William, thank you for that update. William Glucroft is correspondent with our partners DW. He's joining me all the way from Berlin here on The Pulse. This is still The Pulse with me, Gifty and up here. Keep watching.